Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 1, Chapter 7, Texts 13 and 14. And it's a recorded message given by Srila Prabhupada himself. So please pick up your listening devices. Sometimes the recorded volume is low. And I also apologize for little bird chirping that you will hear, especially in the beginning. But it will go away. Srila Prabhupada's voice comes through clearly later on. Okay, so without further ado, I'll start the class right now. Hare Krishna.
When in the battlefield, Kaurava, the party of Dhritarashtra, Srinjayanam, of the party of the Pandavas, Vireshu, of the warriors, Atho, thus, Viragatim, destination deserved by the warriors, Gadeshu, being obtained, Rekodara, Bhima, the second Pandava, Avidha, beaten, Gada, by the club, of Himarsha, lamenting, Bhagna, broken, Gurudanda, spinal cord, Dhritarashtra Putre, the son of King Dhritarashtra, Bharatahu, of the Master, Priyam, pleasing, Droni, the son of Dronacharya, Iti, thus, Sma, shall be, Pashyan, seeing, Krishna, Draupadi, Sudanam, of the sons, Swapatam, while sleeping, Shirangsi, heads, Upaharat, delivered as a prize, Vipriyam, pleasing, Eva, like, Jagupsitam, most heinous, Karma, act, Vigarhayanti, disapproving. Translation. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered them as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act, and he was not pleased in the least.
Jada mridhe kaurava sinjayana vire sato viragatengatesu mrikodara vidya vada vimarsa bhagno rudandi dhitarashtra putre bhattu priyam do niritisma pasyan krishna sutanam sapadam siransi upaharat vipriyameva tasya jugupsitam karma vigarayanti. So, Droni, Dronacharya's son, is Brahman, but he took the profession of a Kshatriya. That is degradation. When a Brahmana takes the occupation of a Kshatriya, it is degradation. So this Droni, although he belonged to the Brahman family, and he accepted the profession of a Kshatriya, he degraded so much that he cut off the heads of 5 sons of Draupadi while they were sleeping. So much degradation. A Kshatriya never slains anybody who is sleeping. Kshatriya's business is to challenge, and if the other party has no weapon, he supplies weapon, then there is fight, then it is decided. One must die. That decision is there. When there is fight between 2 Kshatriyas, the decision is then one must die. Unless one dies, the business, the fighting will never stop. That is called Viragati. Viragati. If a Kshatriya dies in fight, he gets the promotion of Viragati, means he goes to the heavenly planet. This was advised by Krishna to Arjuna that you fight. If you are victorious, then you will enjoy this kingdom. And if you are killed, then you will go to the heavenly planet. Then where is your loss? Both ways. You shall gain. Why shall you not fight? This advice was given by Krishna. So, here it is said, Jathamride Kauravasanjayana. In the fight, all the parties who died, they all obtained Viragati. And most of them, they achieved Sarupa. That is described in different places. Sarupa means his original spiritual form. All the soldiers or the kings who died, and at the time of death were seeing Krishna. Krishna was there in the battlefield. All of them achieved their original spiritual form, Sarupa. And those who did not see Krishna, they got promoted, Viragati, in the heavenly planet. So, fight is not always bad. If it is dharma juddha, according to the prescribed rules, not whimsical fight, dharma juddha, then there is gain. This science is lost. There is no such thing. Now, fighting means hooliganism, vandalism, gundai. That is not fight. Here is fight. Viragatim gati. They are promoted. Then at last, the fighting was between Dhritarashtra and Bhim. This Brikodara Vidya Gadhavi Marsa. Both of them, Duryodhana and Bhim, they are very expert in fighting with Gada. So, when they were fighting Balaram, Krishna was neutral, but he was taking the side of Arjuna. He was driving the chariot. That means he was on the side of the Pandavas, but actually he was not fighting. So, Balaram also did not fight, and in order to avoid any parties, he went to holy places at that time. He was traveling all over India from different holy places, one place to another. So when he returned, he had some sympathy with Duryodhana, because Duryodhana was his disciple to learn how to fight with this Gada, club. Naturally, he was sympathetic with Balaram was sympathetic. So when he came, fighting was going on. Just to show him respect, they stopped fighting and everyone was silent, because the Pandavas knew that Balaram was sympathetic with Duryodhana, and if he takes the side of Duryodhana, then everything will be spoiled. because he is the Supreme Person. But he did not do so. He advised them, "My dear Duryodhana, I know you are a great fighter, you have got strength, you have learned, you know the art of fighting, but you are not so strong as Bhima." And he advised Bhima, "My dear Bhima, you have got the strength of 10,000 elephants. Naturally, you are superiorly stronger. So, he knows the art better than you, and you are bodily stronger than him. So there will be no decision, the fighting will go on. Can you not stop? Because there will not be decision, the fighting will go on. Unless one is dead, the fighting will go on. So what is use? Nobody will be victorious, the fighting will go on. Better stop." But they remain silent. Silent means they did not like the idea. Because Bhima had many old grudges against Duryodhana, because when Draupadi was being insulted, they had to sit down silent, no protest. There are so many incidences, rivalry, insult and counter-insult. So they took the opportunity of feeding the old grudge by fighting. Everyone is determined, I must kill. Duryodhana was determined to kill Bhima, and Bhima was determined to kill. So when they did not listen to the instruction of Baladev, then Baladev left the place. He went to Dwarka back. Of course, Krishna was there. Because Krishna was to give hint to Bhima how to kill Duryodhana. So, Duryodhana, by the blessings of his mother, his whole body became iron-like solid. So by beating by the Bhima, it was not easy. So the story is that Gandhari, the mother of Duryodhana, she was a great chaste woman. Because her husband was blind, she used to remain as blind woman, covering the eyes. But she had some power, chaste woman. Anyone who sticks to the regulative principles, he gets a power, spiritual or material, gets power. A brahmachari gets power if he follows brahmacharya. Everyone, if we follow the prescribed rules and regulation, automatically become power. So, Gandhari had some power. So his eldest son, Duryodhana, was advised to see the mother naked. She advised, "My dear son, tomorrow morning when you come to offer your obeisances to me, you come naked. I shall see you. And you will be solidified, just like earth." So she was going naked. The Krishna saw, so he asked him, "Where you are going?" And "This is I am going to see my mother." "How is that? You are going naked? At least you have some langota." This is not good. So he took the instruction of Krishna and covered the private part with a langota. And when Gandhari saw, she saw that she was not fully naked, so she regretted. Ah, my dear son, I asked you to come before me naked. Why you have got this? No, Krishna advised. Then she began to smile that my attempt is failure. So Krishna knew it. That part which was covered, that was not turned iron. The other parts turned into iron on account of sin by Gandhari. So in this fight, Krishna hinted him that you strike here. That part is not ironized. Although it is against the regulative principle to strike the opponent party below this waist. Krishna advised, unless you transgress this law, you cannot kill him. So he was struck below the waist and he was not killed, but his waist was broken. Therefore it is said, because ara vriddha gadabimans. But then he died. This is mentioned here. So, bhagno urudande, bhagna, uru. Urudanda was broken. Bhagno urudande dhitarashtraputre. Dhitarashtraputra, Duryodhana was Dhitarashtraputra. At that time, Droni, his master was Duryodhana. A Brahmana became a servant of Kshatriya, that is degradation. A Brahmana cannot become servant. Nobody can become servant. Only the Shudras can become servant. Brahmana never becomes servant. They are instructor. Satta samadama titikha java jnana vijnanam astikam brahma karma svabhavajam. This is Brahmana's qualification. They will train the brahmacharis and the grihasthas how to become perfect, discipline. First discipline is truthfulness. The Brahmana will never speak lies. That is the first qualification. So, who is going to take training in that way? Nobody is interested. This is Kali Yuga. We are trying to train people. No illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. Still, there are some failures. And if we teach in our institution, please do not speak lies. People will laugh. So what is this nonsense? Nowadays, is it possible to remain in the society without speaking lies? This is the position. This is called Kali Yuga. Nobody is interested to be trained up as a Brahmana. Nobody is interested to be trained up as a Kshatriya, neither as a Vaishya. They are all Shudras. Therefore it is said, Kalo Shudra Sammava. There is no training. It is very, very difficult to train them to become purified by training. This status of life or different status of training, so that ultimately one can become Brahmana, and when he is fully trained up as a Brahmana, then he transcends the Brahmana's position and he becomes a Vaishnava. So to become Vaishnava is not so easy thing. One has to become Brahmana. Then when he surpasses the stages of becoming Brahmana, then he becomes Vaishnava. Shuddha Satta, Sattang Visuddhang Vasudeva Sabdhidham. Then Krishna is born. When one comes to the Vaishnava stage, then he can understand what is Krishna. Just like Krishna was born of Vasudeva. Similarly, when one comes to the stage of Vasudeva, Vasudeva means perfect Vaishnava. Do you think Krishna accepts somebody as father, an ordinary man? No. He is perfect Vaishnava. Krishna accepts somebody as mother. Who is his mother, father? Nobody can. He is the Adi Purusham. He is the original person. Who can become his father, mother? But he accepts when he descends to exhibit his lila. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata tadatmanam sijama. So he is everyone's father. How Vasudeva can be his father? Ajopi sannabhyatma. Very exalted devotee, he accepts him as father or mother, and therefore one has to learn everything scientifically. Janma karmancha me dibbam. Don't take ordinary. Krishna is born of a father, Vasudeva, and of a mother, Devaki. That's all we know he is born. No, one has to learn who is his father, who is his mother, how he accepts his devotee as father. That is called Jojanati Tattata. This is Tattva. Manusthanam sahasresu kaschid jadati siddhaye jatatam visiddhanam kaschid vettimam tattata. To understand Krishna tattata in truth, that is not so easy. It is possible for a man out of many millions of men. Manushanam sahasresu kaschid jadati. So that tattata one can understand simply by pure devotional service. If you become a pure devotee without any contamination, unalloyed devotee, then Krishna reveals, this is I am like this. You cannot speculate upon Krishna. That is not possible. Nayamatma pravachanena labhya na bahuna sutena na medhaya. You cannot understand Krishna simply because you are a learned Sanskrit scholar. You are a rascal. Krishna is not so easy to be understood by scholarship of Sanskrit language. Don't commit this mistake. Krishna is understood by a person to whom Krishna reveals. That is understood. Nayamatma, this is completely said. Nayamatma, ayamatma, na pravachanena labha, na medhaya. Because you have got a fertile brain, therefore he will be able to understand Krishna. No. Now bahuna sutena. Oh, because you are very good scholar, you have studied so much. No. If Krishna reveals to you, then you will be able. That revelation is possible when you are a devotee. Otherwise, it is not possible. Nayamatma pravachanena labha. So we have to wait for that opportunity when Krishna reveals. How that revelation is possible? Atasya Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai. By sense perception or sense speculation, you cannot. Namadi, even the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, you cannot understand. Athasya Krishna Namadi, Nama, Roop, Lila, Parikar, Vaishishta, everything. You cannot understand these blunt senses. Then how? Sevanamukhe jivhado sayameva spurattada. When you engage your senses, purified senses, sevanamukha, purified senses means when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, everything, then you can understand Krishna. Sevanmukhi jivhado sayameva spurattada. Krishna is not your servant. Krishna, I want to see you. No, that you cannot see. When he is pleased, when he sees that here is a pure devotee, then he reveals. The Pandavas were pure devotees, therefore Krishna took his side and they became victorious in the fight, and Krishna is always ready to give protection to his devotee. Konti apradijanihi name bhakta pranasati. His Sudarshan Chakra always protects his devotee. That is the position of devotee. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful lecture again. So many points that Krishna, Srila Prabhupada was explaining about Krishna. So much to learn from. So, dear devotees, please unmute yourself if you have some comments, some questions, some takeaways, so we can have a wonderful discussion about Krishna consciousness, the way Srila Prabhupada in his own wonderful, unique way has described this. So, anyone has any question or takeaway they want to speak up or share, please unmute yourself and do that now. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all this is Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, go ahead, Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, there's one point that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that caught my attention is when Srila Prabhupada says, and I hope I heard him correctly. He says that Krishna doesn't choose anyone to become his father. He chooses a devotee of the Lord. And that really caught my attention. Not anybody can become his father. Not anybody can become his mother. So which means, he chooses a devotee of the Lord. And that made me think how qualified one has to be or should be to become a servant of the Lord, not just anybody. Like we really have to, and, strive to make ourselves qualified to serve the Lord, And one point that your Prabhupada also made that, we cannot be cheap with Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I'm here, come to me, that kind of stuff, so that was, to me, that was a point of how we can make ourselves qualified in devotional service to render service to the Lord and to really work towards that, achieve that goal. And then he concluded saying is by engaging our senses in devotional service. Everything that we have, we should be engaging it in devotional service. Only then can we become qualified. So, and then I was remembering Chandramali Swami's class yesterday with his disciples that I was hosting. And he said, not only should we be engaging ourselves, in fact, he made a very nice point yesterday. He said that even to think, this is Chandramali Swami, he said that even to think, okay, I'm a devotee, I'm doing bhakti, so what's your problem? He says to even to think like that is an anartha. That was something new to me. He says, we just cannot say, okay, I'm doing bhakti, so what's your issue? I'm doing service, so what's your issue? He says that itself is an anartha. He says, even in devotional service, we have to follow the rules and regulations, how to, how not to. We just cannot say, yeah, but I'm doing bhakti, I'm doing devotional service, I'm doing bhakti. However I do it, it doesn't matter, but I'm doing service. And Maharaj said that is itself an anartha. So that reminded me of his class from yesterday to what Srila Prabhupada said. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's a wonderful point that you made here from the text, from the speech, the lecture by Srila Prabhupada, and also what Chandramali Swami explained here. In other words, when you were saying about what Chandramali Swami comment, I was thinking that a person who acts like that thinks that they, in American terms, they have arrived. But that actually makes a person not humble. This is a person with an ego that would think that way. So we have to be careful. Not only should we receive training, but we should act humbly in all situations. Hare Krishna. Thank you for that comment. Okay.
In fact, another point that Maharaj made, which a couple of us on his call yesterday were thinking, like if one becomes a doctor, one cannot say, okay, like if one wants to become a doctor and just studies the books with no rules and regulation, they cannot say, okay, now I have learned all the medical books, also now I can do a surgery. Maharaj said it doesn't work that way. He says you have to go to the rules and regulations, the do's and the don'ts, the procedure, the standards, what is favorable to perform the surgery. So Maharaj was saying that the same thing in Krishna consciousness, and then he mentioned the 6 favorable principles mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami, where he says that is the reason why we have to act according to the principles, rules, and regulation. He says, so he was quoting that example and linking it to the anartha aspect of thinking, okay, I'm just doing bhakti. However I do it, what's your problem? He says, no, you have to be trained. Then he mentioned about the doctor. You just cannot just go do a surgery. So I wanted to link all that, and share that from Chandamali Swami's class. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much for bringing this point out. Srila Prabhupada used that example also before that, you think you're going to become a medical man or surgeon by just learning the books. You have to receive training also. Very, very, very important point. This is Prabhupada was mentioning now. That's from yesterday's lecture. Chandamali Swami has also brought it up. And then, yes, the qualities of a devotee, utsahan, dhairad, nishchayad, you have to be very enthusiastic, you have to be determined, you have to be patient, follow rules and regulations, be in sadhusanga, all of that. Yeah, he did, in fact. This is from Nectar of Instruction. Very important points. And those things, if you follow, then you'll be successful in Krishna consciousness. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And the Maharaj Swami ki jai. So devotees, if you want to make some more comments, please unmute yourself. And I see there's one in the chat from Dear Krishna Prabhu says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. When someone advances in Krishna consciousness, he or she is already following prescribed rules and regulations, even more spontaneously. That's important, yes. Advancement brings us to that point. Very important point. Thank you for bringing it up. First, we are in training. First, we are getting used to doing devotional service, but that's by orders, and so we have to be obedient and go by devotional service based on what we are told to do and not do. And after we do that for a while, it becomes a habit. Now we do it willingly, not just having to obey only, but willingly. And then, our heart begins to get into it. And at that time, then the service can come spontaneously, including all of the, sometimes the challenging parts of it, but that's taking us austerities. Now, austerities first, we have to just bring yourself up to that point of obeying and doing the things that are austere, getting up in the morning, early, going to Mangalarati, chanting your rounds, make sure you finish at least 16 rounds every day. So we're not like that in the beginning, but with the training, then it becomes to a point where even our mind, who is sometimes a rascal, will remind us, have you chanted your rounds? Have you finished this? Have you going to make sure that you stay on top of that particular service? That's the training. And then that spontaneous way of serving then becomes sweet and Krishna becomes more satisfied. And so many things happen at that time that are very beneficial for the devotee. Hare Krishna. Any more comments? Any more things that the devotees would like to share? All right, so there's a question also. How can we ensure that we are getting trained from the right source? Finding the right source might be a challenge when we ourselves are not perfect in the process and might end up in the wrong hands. So how to get the training from the right source, how to make sure that we've done that. Srila Prabhupada had that at the back of his mind the whole time he was writing the books, and he was pushing for the books to be distributed and also read. So distribution tells so many people in the world about Krishna consciousness, solves so many things that are maybe complicated in their lives and not understanding why they're going through so much suffering. But the devotees also get trained. He literally handpicked people and trained them. And as they would become more dedicated, he gave them more responsibility and much of the spirituality that was supposed to be given to us as training. Srila Prabhupada himself trained people to just get, to literally have their minds unfold and take the process seriously up to that point. So this International Society for Krishna Consciousness is definitely one source that you can't go wrong if you follow Srila Prabhupada's books and associate with the devotees in this particular organization, in this particular society. That's what Srila Prabhupada created it for. Mm-hmm. And the society also has checks and balances so that when situations happen that are unfortunate, then there's a committee that deals with it so that the purity is kept at a high level all of the time. So then this is the place where you can get trained in these kind of centers around around the world. On top of that, Lord Chaitanya's hand is on this particular society. His pure devotee came, his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada. To the Parampara, they're all very, very responsive to this particular society. And Lord Chaitanya's hand on it as long as we are connected in doing the things that Srila Prabhupada asked us to do. And being very connected with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and serving them according to the training that we've had to, been given, then we are in the right place and we are going to be put in the right frame of mind. And that way, then we will not be, sidetracked and put in a place where, Maya then will be able to literally railroad or spoil our devotional kripa. So yes, stay in this society, stay in association of devotees, understand, and keep discussing Srila Prabhupada's, rules, the do's and don'ts, the regulations that he set up, and go back to doing the things like we're doing today, hearing Srila Prabhupada's lectures so that we're reminded. Because Maya is always looking for a chance to get anyone who is weak to go down, 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 and out of this royal path of devotion. So it is, thank you for asking that question. It's very, very important how to ensure that we're getting trained from the right source. Hare Krishna. Anyone else that wants to
I wanted
add more?
to piggyback on, I think, Dear Krishna's question or comment. I'm trying to see here about spontaneous devotional service.
Yes.
Yeah, what was coming to my mind, and I was I asked this question yesterday to Chandramali Swami, how can we get to that level of nishtha? Because he says, in fact, he made a statement and was very powerful, was very powerful. He said that everybody, give me 1 second, I have something on the stove. So, okay, sorry. He said that everybody is on the is on the platform of a Anartha Nivriti. He says we shouldn't think that we have passed the Anartha Nivriti stage. He says everyone, and he used the word we are all, he says, are at the Anartha Nivriti stage. So I asked him, then how can we get to the Nishtha stage, that firm steadiness, which is pretty much, like spontaneous. He says by following the rules and regulation, by really applying the 6 favorable principles. But he also said that it all falls on how much we on our japa. And then he made another comment. He said, I don't know why devotees don't like to come for kirtan. He says, because even though japa is foremost, but kirtan supports japa and japa supports kirtan, is what he was saying. So he says, we just do japa and don't do kirtans. It's just, he says, I don't know why, because that's the only hope. But he was saying that in order to get to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, we have to start following and acting in the rules and regulations of devotional service, because we have so many anarthas, is what he was saying. Just wanted to share that.
Yes, anathanuviti it's the fourth stage. First, we come because we have faith in Krishna. Then we associate with devotees, and then bhajana kriya, get initiated by a spiritual master. Then at that point, actually, anathanuviti comes well in the beginning when you start associating with devotees. So fortunate to have a devotee that is very well trained and advanced around you. Then, of course, they'll tell you how to perform devotional service and the things that you have to avoid. And once you start avoiding, that's another which is unwanted desires now being kicked out. But they take a long time because for lifetimes, many lifetimes, we have acquired skills, we have acquired habits, not skills, but habits that have shaped the character, which is actually a low-born type state. That's why in Kali Yuga says Kalau Sudha Sambhava. Everybody's in the Sudha state, not trained at all in Krishna consciousness state. Srila Prabhupada says in this one, you have to become a Brahmana first, which means there's some training that you have to have in order to come to the mode of goodness before even considering the next stage up from Brahmana, which is becoming a Vaishnava. So this is very important. Thank you for bringing these points that Chandraman Swami shared yesterday in his lecture. Anyone else that wants to share some takeaways or ask a question, please unmute yourself now. Hare Krishna.
You made a good point just now about anarthas, not just as lifetime. I think we tend to forget, because when we have taken to Krishna consciousness, this is another point that Chandramani Swami said yesterday in his class. It was a really deep class. Maharaj was saying that as devotees, we know what we should do, but we don't do. That's what he was saying. He says, we know what to do, but we don't do it because it's not because we don't want to come out of our comfort zone. We just want to do what we want to do. And he said, that's because of our narthas. But then a good point that you mentioned, which was, it made me think a bit more, is that when we, when we become devotees and we join the Krishna consciousness movement, and then we just remember only our whatever we can remember of our nathas in this lifetime. So we think, oh, I'm doing service, I'm doing this, I'm chanting, I'm going for this program, my nathas are gone. But you made a good point, but we forgot about our nathas for I don't know how many lifetimes, right? So it's not just this lifetime that we have to clean up. We're carrying a baggage. So but yeah, I think we forget about that part. And that's what even Maharaj was saying, is that, we know what to do, but we don't do it. Just wanted to share that.
Yes, not this, and anyone listening, don't be discouraged, because there's another part of this Krishna consciousness that is even more huge, and that is mercy. When we are attempting to be a good devotee, a good Vaishnava, Krishna sees our effort, and with the effort will come mercy. And mercy is the one that's going to open the gate for us to go back home, back to Godhead. So if we hear the unwanted desires that goes on all of the time, we have so many unwanted desires, and it seems like the whole time we will be dealing with how to get rid of our unwanted desires. That may be, but the effort that we put in is also recognized by the Parampara. It's recognized by the Paramatma, the Super Soul. And through that, the effort that we put in will very well generate the mercy that allows Krishna to say, okay, you can come home because you put in quite a bit of effort against all odds. Devotee life means swimming against the current of Kali Yuga. That's devotee life. It is going against the current, the way life is now. People are doing things opposite to the regulated principles that we're supposed to abide by. So the general public is going one way and the devotee is going exactly the opposite. And so it's very important to understand that and keep with those who are going that way opposite to the general public and how they live their lives in sense gratification. And that way, then we're assured that we will get to the destination. Hare Krishna. Did you go, Prabhu? I saw you raise your hands. Please unmute yourself and have a comment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji, all devotees, Dandot Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Right.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you. Yeah, such a nice, wonderful class by Srila Prabhupada. I was just thinking on the point, Prabhuji, you mentioned when you do the devotional service or sadhana, we are definitely supported by the Guru Parampara and we get the mercy of the Lord. I was just thinking how one can get assured, because sometimes people go on this path and somewhere there, lacking is there in confidence. You made the point, we are incurring the mercy. How one can have that faith, hey, I'm doing and I'm gonna get credited. How one can strengthen that thought or the that you will get the mercy.
The mercy is, well, the mercy is defined in a particular way. The mercy is there, but there's a word that comes before that, an adjective that comes before that. That's causeless mercy. The mercy is actually causeless mercy from the Lord. Just having become a devotee and having decided to live a devotee life from non-devotee sense gratification type of life, that alone attracts mercy to some extent. The rest of it, the mercy increases the more we get rid of the unwanted desires and keep that from our lives. The more determined we are. That's why in the Nectar of Instruction it says that enthusiasm is there, but you also have to be determined. You have to be determined. Determined means that whatever that happens in my life, I have to go on and follow these principles until my heart opens and I do it naturally. If the heart is not open and we're still doing it because we are told to do it, but we do it willingly and in a determined way, that alone will attract the mercy of the Lord. It all has to do with how determined we are. And then sometimes, when would this happen? When would that happen? Because I'm doing this service. No, the other point too is that we have to be patient. We have to be patient. But one thing we need to have at the back of our minds, and that's very, very much a point that keeps us enthusiastic in this process. That is, the mercy of Krishna is very, very great. If you don't mind sharing a point, I'd like to share a point made by my Guru Maharaj Bhakti Swami in the poem that he wrote. He said, I know, Lord, that your department of mercy is much greater than your department of law. Of course, if you are in an anartha situation, trying to get rid of the unwanted desires, which means the unwanted desires are not totally gone. Therefore, sometimes we will fall into those, cracks. But as long as we're making an effort, the Department of Mercy, causeless mercy of the Lord, is huge, which means many people will be allowed a better situation. A better situation. Just think about it. Just for being a devotee. Just for being a devotee. And so with that, we should be confident that the mercy is there and everybody's going to get mercy to some extent, because in this difficult Kali Yuga age, we are trying to go against the grain, stay away from sense gratification, stay away from the unwanted desires. Sometimes we stop doing some things, but the desires are still there, and we have to work to the point where we don't even feel like doing those negative things that we used to do, or sense gratification things that we used to do. It does not happen overnight for most people. And the pure devotee, that's one thing. But you're not pure and you're being purified, then that takes time. But we have to stay with it and stay in the association of devotees so that we can keep growing. And definitely hearing and reading the books will open our eyes more. There's no question, the more we hear, the more we become, familiar with so many things. And some things that we don't even know about Krishna and Krishna's devotees to get revealed to us. Prabhudananda Saraswati, he is Tungavidya, one of the 8 Ashtasakis of the Lord. I have to admit, I heard about that yesterday from Chandamal Swami's class when I listened to it later on, because of course we had a class going at the same time. But like that, we learn and learn and learn, and it's more exciting. And then that excitement, the excitement makes us more interested in Krishna consciousness, more interested to know more, and then that helps us to clean up because we want to stay in the process. So all of that, then, just keep going with it in devotional service. Keep being very, very interested in devotional service. Keep making sure that you're there to assist whenever a situation comes up that the need is there for service, some sort of service, even if it's not yours, but you can do it. And at that moment that is needed, you jump in and do it, because then that says your heart is in the process. And if your heart is in the process, Krishna will give his heart to you. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions?
I want to add to Nitya Gopal's question. I remember Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and I believe it was him. I read it somewhere. Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, people come to ISKCON and then they stay for a while, or they stay for a while and they leave, or they come and they don't develop the taste, like they don't stick. He says, why is that so? And he says, because they have been given the free will and they choose not to take it up for Krishna consciousness, is what he says. He says, everybody has a free will. Like you mentioned, in your response to Nitya Gopal, everybody has a free will. It's whether we want to use it for Krishna consciousness or we want to misuse it. So in fact, the word that Srila Prabhupada used was misuse of free will. That's the phrase he used. I remember that very clearly. Srila Prabhupada said, it's the misuse of free will. So if we have given a free will to use it in Krishna service, to be with the devotees, to be in the right association, pretty much what Dear Krishna's question was, to be in the right, association, to have the desire and the interest and the enthusiasm to grow, then we're using our free will correctly. But if we just want to not use it, then we are misusing it, then we don't develop that interest or that desire or the faith. And I remember asking the same question from, I think, Balabhadra Prabhu or Vishnugata Prabhu last week, I think, or the week before, and about faith. And he says, to develop faith, you have to associate with those who are faithful, like all the time, not just once a week or once in 2 weeks, all the time. Then only we will build a faith. If not, we cannot build a faith. Just wanted to add that to Nitya Gopal's question.
Very important. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that was a very wonderful point. Developing taste, unless we develop the taste, it's hard to continue on the path. Yeah, that's a wonderful point.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So yes, keeping the faith and increasing the faith is very, very important, and that comes by association of devotees. To associate with a person that is more fixed up than you. The example is given that if you want to, and it's a mundane example, excuse me, but I still will throw it in. If you want to learn how to play tennis, you have to play with a person that's more advanced, so you can pick up some tips from that particular person and watch what they do and do the same thing, then you get better at the game. If you're going to play with somebody who's never played before, which is a non-devotee at that point, and you go on the other side, you're not going to learn anything from them. So again, playing with somebody who's better than you, or going the same thing, the analogy is going to someone that's more experienced, watching what they do, asking questions, and that will improve our own devotion. And with that, we get excited about it. The more we improve, the more excited we get about Krishna consciousness. Then our enthusiasm level goes up too. Hare Krishna. So yeah, thank you very much for all of those wonderful discussions. Any other points? If I could just throw in my own takeaways, a few, then Srila Prabhupada mentioning that Ashwatthama was Brahmana, born in Brahman family, trained by Dronacharya, but still took the position of Kshatriya, and that's degradation. And his mind was definitely degraded, having killed the sleeping sons of Draupadi. It was just really, really, really down there, literally, in terms of his consciousness. A Kshatriya does not slay or kill anyone who is sleeping. Even when it comes to a fight, an opponent is there and the opponent has no weapon, that the person, the Kshatriya, should supply a weapon, and then they fight to the death. Now, one thing that I learned from this, and it wasn't clear in my mind, but Srila Prabhupada made it very, very clear today to me. So I'd like to share that also. That those soldiers who are fighting in the Battle of Kurukshetra, they got better life the following after they left their bodies. Srila Prabhupada made it clear that those who saw Krishna, those who had a mindset in Krishna, when they died, they got their original swarup, their original bodies, spiritual bodies in the spiritual world. They went to the spiritual world. Those who did not see or were not thinking about Krishna at the time, they were also elevated. Viragatim. They went to the heavenly planets. So Srila Prabhupada made that distinction. And it is important for us also because, as it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, one who dies thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead goes to Krishna's abode. And this happened also in the Battle of Kurukshetra among the soldiers. So some soldiers who were not thinking about Krishna were promoted to the heavenly planets, and those who were and saw Krishna and thought about Krishna, they got their original bodies in the spiritual world. Because Prabhupada talks also about Balaram coming and trying to stop Duryodhana and Bhim from fighting by explaining that Duryodhana, you are more experienced. I taught you how to fight with the mace, the club, but you are fighting somebody who has the strength of 10,000 elephants. He's stronger than you. Therefore, there is no winning in this situation. And so you should stop fighting. But since they had so much grudge against each other, and Bhim was even thinking about how he had to sit quietly and watch Draupadi being, there's an attempt to strip her naked, and so he wasn't going to forget that. So they basically, they continued to fight anyway. So Balaram left, but Krishna stayed because Krishna was going to remind Bhim that even though his Duryodhana's body had been given so much strength like iron by his mother, Gandhari, that place below the belt there was still weak. Krishna himself arranged for it to remain weak by telling Duryodhana, why are you going to your mother naked? Even though he's been instructed to come like that. And he covered his groin area and the upper part of his thigh. He covered that. And so that became weak. And the man was literally injured in that area. And then he slowly died, leading to death. So anyway, this is all explained nicely in this lecture by Srila Prabhupada. And the rest of it, the training that we have to receive to become from Brahmana to Vaishnava. The Vaishnava position is a very high position where the senses are purified. And then when senses are purified, and this towards the end, he was stressing this, Papa was stressing this, you cannot understand Krishna by scholarship. He says you have to have training, you have to be engaging in the service of the Lord to the point where Krishna is pleased, then he reveals himself. So you can't know it just by going to study something. There's something else in the chat. Okay, I understand now. All right, so thank you very much, devotees, for having a wonderful participation in this through the chat and also through the audio itself. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Joy. Thank you, Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.